All right, welcome back to the Virtue Bowling Supply YouTube channel. My name is Chris and I'm here to bring you guys the high rev perspective.
And my name is Josh and I'll be bringing the low rev perspective.
Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Storm Alpha Crux, and I'm really comparing that to the Radical Vexed and the Hammer Black Widow 3.0 Dynasty.
And I'll be comparing it to the Hammer Zero Mercy Solid and the Storm Equinox Solid. These comparisons will give us and you an idea of what these pieces look like going down the lane. At the end, we will give our honest, unbiased review, anywhere from nuts to trash. With that being said, we are here at Bolero Violinda on a fresh house shot. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you out on the lanes.
All right, after throwing the brand new Alpha Crux, personally, I liked this ball. It is a stronger, smoother ball, so it kind of fits in that strong and smooth category, but it's not the strongest, not the earliest kind of ball reaction. So for me, being a higher rev rate, I feel like that fits a really good spot in the bag. Here, I feel like it was early enough to get off the spot, even in the oil, but it never really wanted to lock up. Like, I felt like it was pretty continuous for the spot that it fits in the bag. So now I'm gonna go ahead and throw the Black Widow Dynasty and see how that compares. So to me, I think the Widow Dynasty fits in a very similar spot as the Alpha Crux, but I think it just sees it a little bit further down the lane. They both are kind of fit in that slightly weaker end of the strong and smooth category, but the Alpha Crux is a little bit earlier than the Black Widow Dynasty. Especially with the box surface, I feel like it wanted to start up just quite a bit sooner, and the left misses in the oil looked a little bit better with the Alpha Crux. So now I'm gonna go ahead and throw the Radical Vexed and see how that compares. All right, after seeing the Vexed go down the lane, I think this one is a little bit closer to the Alpha Crux as to where it saw it. It definitely was a little bit earlier than the 3.0 Dynasty was, but to me it was quicker to friction than both of the other two balls. Especially when I got it to the friction, it really wanted to see it and make the corner, as to where the other two really wanted to be a little bit more blendy. I think this one is probably the most angular out of the three. The Widow got down the lane, but it was still smooth. This one, both misses felt like it wanted to just make the corner and go left. So kind of hard to see it blend the friction. I think the friction response is just a little bit too much with the Vexed. But compared to the Alpha Crux, it wanted to see it in a similar spot down the lane. It just wanted to be a little bit quicker. Final thoughts on the Alpha Crux. I never drilled the original Alpha Crux, but to me, I feel like this one looks pretty good. The colors look almost identical to the original one. They did switch up the core a little bit, adding the AI to it, and put a new cover on it. So I can't give you a comparison of what it used to feel like compared to now, but I feel like this is gonna be a pretty good bowling ball for the higher rev rates that can't use anything like super early, like something like a Zero Mercy Solid, something that's just too much ball. This one being slightly weaker fits a good spot where it's early enough to see it in the oil, but not weak enough to like hockey stick off the friction and be pretty continuous to the pin. So to me, this ball gets a fire. I really enjoyed the ball motion here. I kind of felt like I could move anywhere on the lane and it blend the friction properly and go through the pins the right way. So yeah, definitely a fire for me.
Just threw 10 shots with the new Storm Alpha Crux. For me, obviously a re-release of the original Alpha Crux. I threw the original and I loved it and never actually bought it. I threw it at a ball demo. And this one, pretty darn similar from what I remember back in the day. I felt like it's just maybe a little bit duller, but overall gave me a very similar shape to what I remember. For today, it definitely was, I would say, just a little bit too much ball for the house shot, but still tried to keep it in the oil as much as possible. I was a little little off, and just me personally, I kept missing everything a little right today for some reason. However, I did notice that this ball compared to other balls was definitely bigger off the spot when I saw it off of friction, just because of how early and how chuggy it was. I definitely had to keep this ball in oil, because if not, it was just going. So now we're gonna go ahead and throw the Zero Mercy Solid next and see how it compares. Just through the Zero Mercy Solid. For me, this ball is just a smidge bigger, but also not so quick to friction. Just a little bit smoother overall, a little bit more rounded of a shape. I felt like when it did get to the friction a little early, it was more forward off of it and kind of wanted to go tumble a little bit more. It was a little bit slower, where the Alpha was a lot quicker to that friction. For me, the Zero Mercies have been really good, and this one for me just felt like I could keep it in that oil and trust it to get off of it every single time. Definitely a little bigger, but now we're gonna go ahead and throw the Storm Equinox Solid and see how it compares. For me, this ball had a similar cleanness to the Alpha Crux, but overall I felt like the Alpha was just a little bit bigger. I felt like the covers were kind of the same, but I did feel like the core inside the Alpha just was a little bit stronger. I felt like the Equinox wanted to kind of skid through the fronts just a little bit more in the front portion of the lane, where the Alpha, I didn't really feel that same feeling. But overall, these two pieces are really close in my opinion. You don't really need both in the bag. This is definitely, you know, two pieces that are, you just kind of pick one and kind of go with it. Final thoughts on the Storm Alpha Crux. For me, this one was a little bit of a tough one, because I didn't make the best shots, but at the same time, the good shots that I did make were pretty good. For me, however, I did feel like, seeing other balls that I've thrown today, I did feel like this one just didn't give me a ton of miss room. So for today, I'm gonna put it in the meh category. I felt like for me, this was in between fire and meh, but overall, I just didn't have that wow factor that I would normally have with a fire or a nuts type of ball. So just a meh for today.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this video useful, make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.